I'll vow to make a Refoid style review for every Final Fantasy game that comes out between now and Re3. Even if that's on the PS6. Wow. Let's see what I committed to. Hi again. About a year ago today, or this week, or at least this month, I released a little video in which I ranked every Final Fantasy ever made. I haven't talked about it much, but the response has been really incredible for me. I did not expect it to go that far. I did not expect it to still be getting views. I still read every comment, even the mean ones. If you hopped on board from that video and are still here today, looking forward to new uploads, I truly appreciate you. Since then, there's only been 2 releases in Final Fantasy, and one of which just so happened to be a remaster of a game I apparently had the scorchiest of hot takes on in that very video. Unfortunate timing for me, as I'm trying to maintain a respectable reputation within the Final Fantasy community. But regardless of what you think about my opinions, hopefully today we can all band together for this video. Today we'll be discussing the first brand new Final Fantasy game since that video. Actually, since 7 Rebirth. It's been 2 full years. Whether you're a tactics lover or hater, whether you thought the 13 games were too high and 9 was too low, we can all agree on one thing. Mobile gacha games are bad. Everything about them is bad. They are bad for the industry. They are bad for the company's reputation who makes them. And they're very bad for the people who play them. But because I made a promise, I'm still gonna review Final Fantasy games. So I spent 100 hours, actually 120, still counting, many hours playing today's game for this video for you today. Here's my review of Dissidia Duellum Final Fantasy. Which Final Fantasy is your favorite? This is the first thing the game asks of you when you start it up. It lists them all, even 15 A New Empire. Like, who is choosing that? It's got every spin-off, including the dead unplayable games like Final Fantasy Tactics S and everything else from my Dead Games video. For those who still criticize that I missed some entries in my ranking, I feel pretty justified here, cause you know what didn't make this list? Every game that didn't make my list, such as 15 Pocket Edition, the Mana series, the Bravely Default series, and the Chocobo series. They actually didn't even include Final Fantasy Fables, Chocobo Tales, or Chocobo's Dungeon, which I did include in mine. So, we now have an official in-game list of what counts, and sorry haters, but I'm right. The devs themselves got my back. Anyway, why do they ask this? The question is never brought up or referenced again, which means it's purely data collection. Square now has a dataset of the most popular games in the franchise among Dissidia Duellum players. It's likely being used to decide which characters are going to be added, and judging from our first roadmap, 7, 10, and 6, that definitely checks out. There's also 5, though, which I feel like is getting more and more popular as time goes on. I'm happy to see that, especially if it's Gilgamesh. Imagine Gilgamesh in modern Tokyo fashion drip. Yes, that's the premise of the game. Various characters from Final Fantasy find themselves reverse isekai'd into modern-day Tokyo, our real world, and they work together to defeat monsters and protect the people while staying undercover. The story so far has not gone anywhere else from there. I was hoping by making this video later, there would be a little more story to talk about, but not really. They're doing what mobile games do and stalling for as long as possible before anything interesting happens, if at all, but we'll get to story stuff later. This is technically the 6th Dissidia game in the series. Now, some fans are probably counting things in their head right now because that just doesn't sound right, but it is. Dissidia has this reputation of being a complete waste of potential literally every time they make a new one beyond Duodecim. Making a Final Fantasy crossover should be the easiest thing in the world, but they just refuse to give the people what they want. The first entry was cool. Dissidia Final Fantasy, a PSP fighting game with an okay amount of content and characters. The second entry was truly just a remake of the first with a lot more content and characters. This is the one we all love. Dissidia 012, aka Duodecim. Good game, still stuck on the PSP though. The third entry was an arcade machine, so no one really counts it. The fourth entry was a modern port of the arcade machine called Dissidia NT that was riddled with overpriced DLC and predatory mechanics. Most were disappointed not only with all that, but also because they changed the gameplay from 1v1 fighting to 3v3 fighting, which wasn't as fun. The RPG elements were almost entirely removed, there was barely a story, and it reeked of desperately trying to be the next esport. The fifth entry was a mobile game, Dissidia Opera Omnia, which people did seem to like due to it having almost every important character you can think of, and a huge variety of cutscenes featuring all these characters interacting and giving more insight into their lore and their stories. But it was still a mobile game, and now they've shut it down. It's completely gone and unplayable. So yes, there are technically 5 other Dissidia games, but none of them seem to matter. Fans have been crying out for a modernized sequel to Duodecim with that type of gameplay, or even a remake of Duodecim, because we'll just take anything. We're desperate. Please, Square Enix, give us something good with Dissidia. And then they said, another mobile game. Look at the camera, Furion. This time without the possibility of Opera Omnia's humongous character roster, much less story and character interaction, and much worse monetization. In fact, as someone who's played Brave Exvius, Opera Omnia, War of the Visions, The First Soldier, All the Bravest, Ever Crisis, and more, this game might have more evil monetization than any of those. It's still beat by the old Final Fantasy XV, A New Empire, and War for Eos, just because those can hardly be classified as games. They're basically just about paying money to see bars go up faster. No, Dissidia Duellum is not as bad as that. There is an actual game here that, without monetization, probably would make for a pretty decent, pretty fun, competitive game for most people. Unfortunately, what will kill your interest in this game is not just that it's a heavily monetized gacha game. It's that it's an exclusively competitive player versus player, heavily monetized gacha game. Most of the games I just listed have PvP elements or modes. Usually you can be in competition with other players indirectly through a ranking event or a raid battle of some kind. Do as much damage as possible and see where you place on the global leaderboard. Yes, you'll be destroyed by whales who pay to have all the best things they need to destroy you, but it's still more of a solo challenge in seeing how far up you can get with the stuff you have. And more importantly, that's not all the game is. There's also a story mode or something you can grind for. There are other ways to enjoy the game how you want to, if you want to. In Dissidia Duellum, the only thing to do is play random online matches. That's the entire experience. Direct competition against random strangers with random teammates playing random characters on random maps. You just keep queuing up and dealing with that until you've done all your dailies for the day, I guess. You see where I'm going with this? You cannot make an exclusively competitive game that is also pay to win. It ruins everything. I know we hate microtransactions and gacha stuff, no matter what, but in the context of a competitive game, what is actually the point? It is pay to win at the highest degree. You get matched with someone who paid boatloads of money more than you. You lose. That's it. You didn't put anything else in the game for me to put a little asterisk or a footnote about that. That is it. There's nothing else to do. Mobile games need to strike a balance between servicing their whales, who essentially fund the development of the game, and also keeping the free-to-plays still around, not making them too limited so that they don't quit the game, so that the whales have someone to stomp. After 120 hours with this game, I've concluded that the developers basically said, nah, we're just gonna make this one for the whales. Anyone who's free to play, you're just there to be stepped on by them. We're not gonna give you anything to have fun on your own. You're just fodder. Kill yourself. I didn't want to bury the lead with this one. I wanted to establish dreadful vibes right away, before anything else in the video, because it just makes me sad. Square Enix, in the desperate state it is in 2026, they offer us a new Dissidia game, and it's entirely gacha slop. In my opinion, there's nothing else that needs to be said. I kinda just want this game to die so we could all move on. But I didn't put 120 plus hours in for nothing. If you want to know if there's anything worth seeing in Dissidia Duellum Final Fantasy, or if you want to know just how bad it gets, keep on watching. So I'm going to try as best I can to ignore that massive caveat when discussing Duellum's game design. Like I said, if it wasn't monetized the way it is, it wouldn't be a terrible game. I think I enjoyed playing this more than I enjoyed Dissidia NT. Although I never played NT against actual humans, so maybe that's not a fair comparison. Like NT, all matches are 3v3 again, but it's an entirely different system otherwise. NT was a capture the flag style game where you had to destroy the enemy's crystal on their side of the map to win. In Duellum, the goal is to defeat the boss that appears 40 seconds into the match. The boss has 2 separate health bars for each team, and it's just a race to empty yours first. 5 crystal points are placed around the map with a small mob of monsters on them. Defeat the monsters to purify a crystal and gain a bunch of bravery for your whole team. Ah yes, the bravery system returns once again. This is probably the most consistent mechanic across all the Dissidia games. Matches are centered around getting your bravery to its maximum, 9,999. This is done not only by purifying crystals, but also defeating enemy players, stealing all the bravery they had on them upon death. At max bravery, you can enter Bravery Burst, which is the mode that allows you to inflict damage on the boss. That's the only way to do it, so you gotta get to max. Using any damaging cooldown abilities will end your burst, so you ideally want to time it for when all your abilities are ready to use to maximize your damage output before bravery resets back to 1,000 and you have to start the climb back up. It's easier said than done when you're dealing with dodging the boss's attacks and the enemy team is breathing down your neck trying to stop you before it's too late. Luckily, all character-specific ultra-rare abilities grant you immunity during use, so you want to use those if you think they're going to kill you quickly. And you do tend to die pretty quickly in this game. Timing gets even trickier when you want to align your burst with a teammate. If more than one of you attack the boss at the same time, it triggers a burst chain that increases the damage dealt by both of you. It's rare for that perfect setup to ever happen when you consider all the factors that have to line up. You both need to be physically near the boss, you both need to have all your abilities cooled down and ready, and you both need to be not being killed right now. Having team communication would provide a huge advantage for this reason alone. Actually being able to strategize with each other instead of just hoping your teammates aren't stupid would make this game a lot more fun. But this game is only available on the phone, so I highly doubt most people are hopping on Discord and getting a team together to make serious attempts at climbing ranked mode. Some probably are, and I'm sure they're at high tiers just behind the whales, but the majority of players are just rolling the dice every time they queue up. The matchmaking is actually terrible. That would be the biggest problem with the game besides the monetization. You're meant to play with players around your same power level who are different classes than you, but that just doesn't happen very often. I've been in matches where my team had 10,000 less combat power than the enemy team. That basically means our stats were all significantly worse than the people we were playing against. We do less damage and die faster. It's really not fun to start a match and within 1 second think, oh, we're just gonna lose this one, I guess. Team composition is pretty important, as it is in any competitive game. I've had matches where 2 out of 3 of us were support classes, and the third wasn't even a main DPS, so our damage output was nowhere near enough to kill the boss even if we weren't being attacked while doing it. We were completely doomed from the start. And this is a regular thing in this game. Playing Dissidia Duellum with random matchmaking is utterly miserable. No matter how well you play, or no matter how poorly for that matter, it all just seems so inconsequential. What matters is the other 5 players and their stats. That's gonna determine how the game goes. It's almost always predetermined. I feel like I'm just there. I mean, it's a very simple game. I just explained to you exactly how every match works. It doesn't get much deeper than that. Max out your bravery and hit the boss. The nuance comes in the gimmicks of each individual character, but in general, that's it. You don't even have to play if you don't feel like it. This is a mobile game after all, so there is an auto button, and it's not disabled even in high rank matchmaking. After enough time with the game, it's very easy to tell who's playing on auto, and it's so damn infuriating. Auto plays the game for you with the intelligence of a crappy AI bot, and that basically means it doesn't time anything. It's programmed to immediately burst and attack the boss as soon as it has max bravery. It could have only one basic ability cooldown, but it'll still waste all of that bravery for that one crappy attack, doing basically no damage to the boss. Even as a support character, who generally isn't even supposed to attack the boss, they'll still stop what they're doing and throw it all away. Horrible. Your team is at a handicap if somebody's playing on auto. I guess that's just the joy of public matchmaking. But on that rare instance when there's a level playing field and all players are actually present in the match, the game can be fun. But that's an exception and not at all the norm. It feels good to work towards a perfect burst chain or to interrupt the opposing team's attack before they can see it through, but it also feels like you're powerless to cause either of those things 90% of the time. Any major win or loss often does not feel like an earned checkmate or a failure of judgment. It all blends together as a result of multiple different wheels being spun to eventually put you in that place at that time. Your random teammates and their power level, the enemy's power level, the character matchups, and most importantly, their abilities they got from the Gacha machine and whether or not they're queued up at that time, and whether or not you got lucky and have the right abilities equipped to expose their weakness. It's all just chance. Okay, I'm being a little vague about it. Most competitive games have some kind of customization element, different kinds of weapons to bring to battle and stuff like that. But in this one, there are a handful of abilities already that are just objectively better than other ones. Can you guess how those better abilities are obtained? Yeah, by random chance gacha. 0.06% chance per ability, to be exact. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself, we're not talking gacha just yet. So the first minute or so of each match is usually the same. The teams split off and try to purify the crystals nearest to them. There's usually 2 closer to each side and a third one right in the middle. That third one has high potential to be the first tide changer. If your team gets it, you're pulling ahead. But the other team still has a chance to kill one of you and it would already place them close to max. 40 seconds in, the boss appears. You always have to watch a cutscene of it appearing, which interrupts gameplay. I don't know why that's a thing. I'm pretty sure everyone hates this and would rather not have to stop whatever they were doing. The amount of attacks I messed up from being disoriented by the cutaway. Ugh, God. Now, the rest of the match is spent deciding whether or not to hunt someone down, bait someone in, or when to use your bravery burst. These decisions are usually based on where everyone's cooldowns are, so it's tough because you can't ever see that information on someone else. Not even on your own team. If they could add some visual indicator to show whether or not a teammate was ready to attack, that would do wonders for solo matchmaking, because right now you're winging it. You gotta keep an eye on everyone. Oh, Cloud just used Omni Slash to kill another player. Guess he's not gonna attack the boss for another 80 seconds or something. At that point, I might just hit the boss anyway, because by the time he's ready to go, I might be back to max bravery again. Using one of those super long cooldown attacks on an enemy is a big risk. 80 seconds is such a huge chunk of the match. I see a lot of players doing absolutely everything they can to stay alive, but sometimes it might actually be better to just die. If your bravery is low, they're not going to benefit much. And if they use a long cooldown ability on you, then they're not going to be in much of a better place either. A lot depends on what you can bring into battle. With only 5 slots available, it's an extremely tight squeeze. You're almost always going to have to sacrifice something. Every character in the game has 4 exclusive abilities only they can equip. 1 rare, which is pretty basic and expendable, 1 super rare, still pretty basic and varies in usefulness depending on the character, and 2 ultra rares. These are the abilities that essentially define a character's playstyle and are almost always best to equip over anything else. So if you equip those 2, you now only have 3 slots left for other things. It's not advised to just equip all the strongest attacks you've got. You should leave room for other utilities. Some useful tools to consider are Sprint, makes you dash forward to get away from someone. Heal, restore 40% of your team's HP. Embolden, give away half of your bravery to another teammate, great for supports. Surge, boost your attack for 20 seconds. Barrier, decrease damage taken by 50%, and Earthbreaker, which breaks barriers and stuns enemies currently under the effects of them. You might be able to see how one-on-one fights tend to play out here. You approach an enemy you can likely kill, but they have a barrier. You don't have an Earthbreaker, so you can't do much now. At this point, the enemy will either run away, which ends the interaction, or they'll use this ability to kill you while you can't fight back. But you have a barrier as well, so you pop it. You're currently winning, since his barrier will expire first. But he has a heal, so he gets back to full HP. Now you're in trouble, except you have a heal. You're back in the lead. Now, unless he's fast and can run or teleport out of there, you got him dead to rights. He must decide if it's worth using his ultra rare for the invincibility and to potentially kill you too. But if he does, you can use your ultra rare, nullifying the damage with your own invincibility and finally, hopefully, killing him. This is all providing other teammates don't butt in to help either of you out, because there's usually not much you can do against a 1v2. And that's how most fights go. It's not an exhilarating or complex dueling system. Every matchup is a game of chicken. Last one to use their final trump card is the winner. This is what I'm talking about, because you don't know what everyone else is carrying, you'll never be sure you can win a matchup, and whether or not you do just feels like another dice roll to go with all the other dice rolls that led you to this point. And you know, this isn't dissimilar to a complaint I had about the original Dissidia. That game had equipment slots and summon slots you could freely change around, but those changes are minor. If anything, they add some variety to matches, and what makes them not too much of a problem is that all those options are available to everyone. And there isn't power creep. There aren't abilities that are objectively better. There isn't this stats contest that you instantly lose because you didn't pay money. I'm doing it again. Fine. Let's talk about the only pieces of this that are relatively consistent. Maps and bosses. As of this video, 2.5 months since release, there has been 0 content updates. Only new characters and abilities have been added. There's going to be a new map and boss soon after this video comes out, and another map and boss in August. Currently, there are just 5. Surprisingly, the way you play varies quite a bit between these maps. They're quite different from each other to the point where it might actually be smart to bring certain abilities depending on the map. Except, the map you go to is always 50-50 by the hour, so it's a coin flip. Better than a dice roll, I guess. Shibuya Crossing is the smallest one. 3 of these crystals are pretty close together in the center, so there's a lot of conflict and chaos in this one. Ginza Crosswalk is a T-shaped map with 3 crystals going down the long side. You can hide out on your side of the T, but if you venture off into the long side, there's always a risk you get trapped by an enemy in the long dead end. Hard to escape. Shudo Junction has long downward ramps on each team's side, leading to a wide open field between them, making it hard to get around at all. You can reach the center crystal by hopping off the ledge, and almost every match here starts with the risk takers making their leap and hoping they can grab that center crystal before the other. It gets messy. Kawasaki Seaside is kind of the opposite of Shudo, requiring teams to go up a ramp before getting to the center arena, but being able to hop the ledge to retreat back to base. Luring the enemy down there is a popular strategy because it's very difficult to get back up alive. Finally, Minato Mirai is the biggest map. Each team only has 1 crystal by their spawn, and the rest are all equally out of reach by everyone. There's 1 crystal in the center between them on the lower level, but if you climb the ramp you get to the second level with the other 2 crystals, each down their own respective dead ends. This map always feels like every man for himself. I never know what the plan is. Sometimes I just chill up on the second level and hop back and forth between the 2 crystals and farm them while nobody stops me, but it depends on the boss we're facing. There are 6 bosses in the game that can appear on any map. They each have different attacks, some are more dangerous than others, but the general strategy to kill them is the exact same, except for 1. So the first boss is Malboro. He specializes in poisonous attacks, AoEs around him, but he's pretty basic and predictable. Iron Giant has a move that sucks in players from a distance, but most of his attacks are slow charge-ups that are easy to dodge but can stun lock you if you mess up. Behemoth, I don't know much about because After you hit a certain rank, he stops showing up and King Behemoth shows up instead. He's just a harder version. He can move pretty fast on the map, and you actually have to watch out for his moves. If Meteor shows up, he doesn't give a lot of warning, and that attack will kill you at full HP. It sucks. Then there's Ifrit, the wildest one. He's got lots of attacks, and he doesn't stop using them. He's a pain to lure in, so I usually just attack him whenever I can. I should explain luring. This is a meta strategy everyone hopped onto a few weeks into the game. All 5 of these bosses are roaming. They walk around the map attacking players. Specifically, they aggro the player with the highest bravery. This is a huge detail because having control over where the boss is can be a crazy advantage. When you get to max bravery, the boss now prioritizes whichever player last applied bravery burst. So you will find matches where players stay on 9999 bravery, waiting for you to burst so they can burst immediately after and call the boss over to them on the other side of the map. Once again, it's just a game of chickens. It's a game of holding out as long as you can. But if you lose this game, and the enemy gets the boss basically into their own spawn, you are in a terrible position. If you're already in burst mode, you have to lug your ass to the enemy spawn just to be able to hit the boss, but the team is likely waiting there for you so they can kill you before you even reach him. Some players will stay in burst mode and just keep hitting the boss with basic attacks, doing extremely minor damage, but keeping the boss where they want him. Your other option is to help another team member get to max bravery so they can burst and call the boss back. But if another enemy is also sitting there on max, they're waiting for exactly that. You know how it's gonna go. You burst, they burst, boss stays where he is. People play dirty in this game. Now the 6th boss is immune to this strategy because he doesn't move at all. Atomos has a special spot he can spawn on each map, and he stays there. He shoots out vortex traps covering most of the map, he has a big AoE attack surrounding him, and he has a move that teleports you back to spawn if you're caught in the radius. But my favorite is the giant laser he shoots. That one's fun on the Ginza crosswalk. Atomos is probably my favorite to fight, just because the stupid luring strategy doesn't work. One more thing about bosses, they mess with your aiming. This is so frustrating. I haven't talked about how the game controls, but it's a 3D action game you play vertically on your phone. I don't need to tell you it sucks. There's a couple settings to choose from, but the one I chose lets you move with your left thumb and hit attack with your right thumb. To move the camera, you gotta lay off the attack button first and take multiple swipes to turn the camera completely around. Ugh. Aiming at an enemy is done automatically. If you're in range, the game will assume you want to hit an enemy player instead of a small fry monster or something, which is fair. Most of the time that is true. But when you're in burst mode, the game will always assume you want to attack the boss instead of a player. This is horrendous because that's almost never the case. It's the case for usable abilities, but it's not the case for basic attacks. If I'm doing a basic attack and there's an enemy player in front of me, I'm trying to kill him, not the boss. But the game doesn't let me do that. I have to try and run out of range of the boss before I can start attacking the guy who's literally killing me right now. It's not gonna happen. I'm basically dead even though I should have been in a position to kill that guy before he got me. Is it really too much to ask to let me aim my own attacks in a competitive online game? Well, there's only so much we can do with a phone. Oh hey, why isn't this game on PC? According to interviews around a week after the game came out, they said, "We're exploring the possibility of a PC version." Bitch, the possibility? They didn't explore this possibility at all earlier? Isn't this what happened with Final Fantasy VII, The First Soldier? A battle royale game you could only play on the phone? That sucked, so it died? 7 Ever Crisis got a PC version just 3 months after release. They got on that right away. And that's not even a game that absolutely needed it. That's turn-based. This is a real-time competitive action RPG. We'll think about maybe the possibility of, I guess, maybe having a version with tolerable controls. But for now, just keep buying the season pass. That's everything there is to know about combat outside of the individual character breakdowns, which we'll get into soon. First, I want to get into the micromanaging aspect that comes packaged with every mobile game. How many different currencies are in this one? Any guesses? Going once, going twice? 10. There are 10 currencies. For now. Season points are self-explanatory. You get them for participating in battles, more if you play ranked, more if you win. They're only used for one thing, progressing in the Season Pass. This awards you with all the other kinds of currencies, profile icons, and best of all, story cutscenes and group text side conversations between the characters. Yeah, there is no story mode. You just play matches over and over until you unlock the cutscenes. Growth eggs are used to level up your abilities. You earn them for doing just about anything, but you'll run out a lot faster than you think. Abilities don't change their effectiveness when leveled up. Each ability just comes with a passive stat stick for attack, defense, and HP. Leveling them up just makes those stats better. Initially, you're capped at 10, but by getting duplicate copies, you can raise that level cap and go further. Here's where the true whaling comes in. When I said players in the game could just be objectively superior, this is what I mean. With enough money, you can keep drawing abilities and keep getting more growth eggs than everyone else, and so all your stats will just be better. And they only get more ahead as time goes on. Ability draw tickets are used to draw abilities. Character draw tickets are used to draw characters. Yes, both are obtained through separate gacha systems. Gift tickets are unique in that they're only used by giving them away to other players. When that's done, they become ability draw tickets. So it's just another way to earn those, but you have to go through this awkward extra step of finding someone you can trust to give them tickets in hopes that they'll trade you back the same amount. These were put in as a nice thing to do to a fellow player you liked on your team or something. They try to play up a social aspect of this game, even though there's barely anything. And that's not how anyone deals with gift tickets. The little social media feed you have is mostly going to be filled with people begging 10 for 10 tickets over here, 20 for 20 this way. Because if you're playing this game with a mobile gaming mindset, you want to be as efficient as possible. Why should I give away tickets if I don't know whether or not I'll get the same amount, if any, back? That's just bad business. And I hate that that's how this game makes me think, but what do you expect when the game itself is so greedy? Do the devs think we're really just gonna click on a stranger on the community and just be like, here, have some tickets. Why? Just 'cause I like ya. I hate this process, so I usually just wait until someone I know gives me some, and then I give them whatever they gave me back, so we match, so it's all even Steven. I just don't want to deal with it. Next we have the main currency, Mog Pay Points, aka coins. I call them because they just look like coins. You earn these through dailies and other missions as well, and they're pretty much just used for pulling on banners when you run out of those tickets. They are not to be confused with Mog Pay Points Paid. Mog Pay Points Paid are different than Mog Pay Points Free because they are paid for with real money. They can be used on special draws that can only be bought with Mog Pay Points Paid, not Mog Pay Points Free. This is in every mobile game in some form. You have your premium currency and your normal free currency. But in every other mobile game I've played, these two currencies are distinct from each other. They're made separately so that you can tell them apart. In Ever Crisis, the free currency is blue crystals, and the premium is red crystals. This is the only game I've played where they use the exact same icon and name, only differentiated by a parenthetical tacked on the end. What is that? Why would they do this? The only explanation I could surmise is it's intentional to confuse the player into potentially spending more coins than they wanted to. The only other option would be they just didn't think it would be confusing, which is stupid. I don't believe that. To me, their intent is clear for two reasons. One, every other mobile game avoids this problem. They had the template. All of these games are made from the same template. They all have the same mechanics, so they either ignored this one out of utter laziness or actual maliciousness. Number two, which really makes me think it's malicious, is on the home screen, you can see the total amount of Mog Pay Points that you have. But that's the combined number of your Mog Pay Points Free and your Mog Pay Points Paid. Why would you do that? They're different currencies. I feel like I'm being gaslit. It can only be to make the player think they have more free points than they do, and they end up spending their premium currency on something that they shouldn't. If you switch over to the draw screen, then it shows the split between paid and free. Why only there? I know that's where you spend them, but don't have a number that's just a lie, right? I don't understand that. This is one of the most disgusting failures in UI design I've seen on this show. I know it's not the biggest deal as long as you're paying attention to your actual values, but this still needed to be pointed out. I mean, the game basically lies to you about how much spending money you have right on the front screen. Any smart gacha gamer knows you need to save the premium currency for the good stuff. You do not use that on anything that free currency can be used on instead, unless you're a whale and your whole thing is literally wasting money because you don't care. Speaking of wasting money, let's take a look at the shop. This is one of those extra shameless mobile games that lets you earn MogPay points free by downloading all kinds of other slop and playing them every day, in case you weren't spending enough time on your phone. All the usual suspects are here. Royal Match, Raid Shadow Legends, Monopoly Go, and other probably AI-generated spyware. I didn't stoop so low as to engage with any of this. Aside from straight up buying MogPay points paid, there are also once per season bundles that can give you some of those points for more of a value, and they throw in some UR guaranteed tickets. UR guaranteed tickets can be earned through rank up rewards too. Using 10 lets you draw one guaranteed ultra rare ability. You don't get to choose though. With enough MogPay points paid, you can buy the season pass. This grants you access to the premium side of the season rewards tracker, which obviously is going to get you better stuff. The season also doubles the amount of growth eggs you get every time you draw. Yeah, you earn growth eggs when you pull on a banner. And as someone who's bought the season pass every season, sometimes doubling that rate is still not enough. Without the season pass, good luck leveling anything to where it needs to be. In a recent update, they added 3 new daily missions that only get you growth eggs, because even though you earn them for doing basically everything in the game, it costs way too much to level abilities. People complained, and the devs did not adjust the scale, they just gave you more opportunities to get a couple extra growth eggs. Because they knew growth egg costs were huge. They did that so you would buy the season pass. There's actually another thing you can buy to help even more. Only with MogPay points paid can you purchase a boost pass for 3 days or 28 days. These triple the season points and growth eggs you earn through battle. Season points have basically no value. As long as you play the game, you will get to the end of a monthly season way before the end of the month, but tripling growth egg earnings is big. I would never buy this though because I hate microtransactions that also require you to waste a ton of your time. The value of this pass is directly related to how much of your life you spend playing this for the next 3 or 28 days. Every second you spend not playing this game is precious growth eggs lost. Like, it's not enough that I gave you real money. Now I have to give you my time to make my money worthwhile? This is as slimy as it gets. I'll say this much. I got the season pass every month by purchasing the once a month bonus pack for $6.59. Relative to what I've seen in the Gachaverse, this is a much better value. Ever Crisis has a monthly season pass, and it costs $13.99. All of its microtransactions are worse. That's Duellum's one win in this fight. But if you do want to compare them on a deeper level, the blue crystals in Ever Crisis are much more valuable to the player than the MogPay points, free or paid. You'll see why when we get into Gacha. Oh, it gets worse. Would you believe me if I told you we haven't gotten to the kicker yet? Hold on though, we're not done with currencies. I've said that the only thing to play in this game is the endless matchmaking modes, ranked or casual. Technically that's not true, there's also challenge mode, but here's why I said what I said. Challenge mode is a single player mode for each character in the game, 27 stages varying from so easy you can auto through them to basically impossible. The rewards are minor, but there's something. 1 ticket here, a couple hundred free points there, a profile background, stuff like that. Thing is, the rewards for playing ranked are just better. These are only worth doing for characters you actually want to play seriously, and that is because the challenges are the only reliable way to earn job medals. Job medals are small modifiers you can apply to a specific character to slightly boost a stat of theirs. Movement speed, damage to monsters, cooldown time, or raw stats like HP. Every time you use one, it will draw a random stat boost at a random tier 1, 2, or 3, and you can equip up to 3 medals at once. The color of the medal also matters because if it matches another medal in your set, Both of them will get a slight percent increase in their boost value. The ultimate prize is whatever stat you want at the 3rd tier in the same color on all 3 slots. I didn't do the math, but I'm pretty sure you're more likely to be struck by lightning than winning that prize. In my whole experience up to this point, I don't think I've rolled more than 2 tier 3 job medals across all my characters. And the reason this is so unlikely is because you earn 21 job medals by completing all these challenges, and that might be all you will ever get, because there's one other way to earn them, and that's by drawing a duplicate costume you already have for that character via the character gacha system. Approximately a 1% chance. The final currency is shared job medals. These are not limited to specific characters and can be used on anyone, so that might help your odds, but of course, these are even harder to come by, only available by ranking up a few times per season. I've gotten like 50 total in my playtime with this game, and you know what's going to happen. You use all the limited character job medals, and if you dip into shared job medals, when does it end? How many will you waste on one character? It's definitely that type of material that you just hoard and never use in a game. The cards are so stacked against you with this system. I could sit here and explain it to you, but I think it comes across clearer if we just do it together. So why don't I show you a live demo of attempting to build my job medals for a character. Alright, hi guys, we're going to do the job medal demo. As you can see here, I've cleared basically all of the Riku challenges. They just added these ones. These are like impossible, but I have all the job medals. I have like 21 or whatever. We're gonna try and build a Riku. We're gonna do Riku using, we have 21. The only 21 that we will ever get that we can only use on Riku. We do have 51 shared medals. That's because I've never used them since the launch of the game because I've been too scared. But we're gonna just use the Riku medals now. For Riku, we want cooldown. We want our abilities to be cooled down because that's all she's really doing, is she's supporting the team by using these abilities. So I want to be able to use them. Damage, she's not doing damage. I don't want that. So let's just start with one. Okay, recovery amount. So I think that's when you die. That's the amount of bravery you recover. That's useless. Let's go on to the next one. Increase defense by 3%. That's not bad. I'll take that. Decrease ability cooldown time. I mean, it's 0.0. I mean, it's 0.8%. It's not that great, but it's the thing that I wanted. So let's replace the green one now. So this is what I was talking about. Let's say I wanted recovery amount and I wasn't sure if I'd get something better. I still have to just give it up. So let's see what I get. Attack and defense. Okay. Not as good as that defense, so I'll replace it again. Cooldown time, 0.8, but it's not matching. That's a brown and that's a red, so they don't get the bonus. I think I want to keep the defense, so I'm gonna replace this one. I don't know. Okay, that's another cooldown, but it's blue. Oh, but it matches with the defense, so I get a 0.5% bonus. Okay. I guess let's replace the red then. Maybe this will work. Maybe this will actually work out. Decreased duration of status ailments. I don't care about that, but it matches blue. Nah, let's replace that. Let's keep going. Defense again. Blue. Well, that's not really, I mean, like, it's not great, but if I replace any of these, I'm probably going to get something worse. That doesn't match. I have 13 left. I gotta use them sparingly. So this might be all I get. Let's just go for a different row. Let's see if we can start fresh. Recovery amount, useless. Attack and HP, not great. Increases team bravery from crystal purifying. It's not bad. Not bad. Duration of status ailments, no. Bravery from crystal purifying, okay, but it doesn't match the color. Damage dealt to all monsters could be nice because she does hunt monsters. I guess this one. Damage dealt to all monsters. Okay, now that's a double match. Okay, let's go for a monster damaging build, I guess. That's not great, but it's what we're being given. 5%. Oh no, that's decreases damage taken from monsters. I don't care about that. Increases damage dealt. Okay, but it's red. I would like a brown. Increases recovery amount. No. Decreases damage taken from monsters. No. Increases recovery amount. No. Decreases durations of status ailments 10% is huge, but status ailments hardly matter. That's it. I just used all of my job medals. I got... How many 2 stars did I even roll? Like, I think I rolled 3? 2 stars? Didn't see a single 3-star. The best thing I got is some defense on her. We went in wanting cooldown time, and we just never got it. I mean, that's it. Like, I won't get more job medals. That's all the job medals I get. That's my Riku now. So, that's everything related to progressing your account. The most important thing is to keep grinding and obtaining dupes of the abilities you use so you can raise the level cap and spend growth eggs to reach it. Each ability builds stats differently, and what really sucks is you don't know how the stats will grow when you use growth eggs. You know how basically every RPG will show you what you're going to get when you have to spend an item? Nope, not here. Just like job medals, it's a guessing game. Go ahead and spend 50,000 growth eggs without knowing if it's worth it or not. Fans have created an online database to fix this issue. You can visit this site to see stats of every ability at every level. A classic mobile gaming staple. Fans working together doing everything they can do to counter the bullshit. Aside from your 5 ability slots, you have 5 support slots to equip as well. These are used purely for their passive stats and aren't limited by character. So you don't only want to boost the big attacks that you use in battle, you also want to boost anything that has high stats and can go in your support tab. Not like you have a choice though, it's all random. You get abilities through Gacha or through sealed crystals obtained at the end of battle. Gray crystals have a 0.1% chance of yielding an ultra rare, but you stop seeing those after bronze tier. Blue crystals have a 1% chance and take 2.5 hours to unseal. Gold crystals have a 2.5% chance and take 6 hours. Platinum crystals have a 5% chance and take 9 hours. Usually if you win, you'll get a gold or a platinum. Losing almost always gets you a blue. Sometimes during events, there are special crystals that provide a 20% chance to specifically get a featured character you are. They take 12 hours. Your odds are actually decent, but you'll only hope to see these crystals at a very high rank. Climbing rank for better rewards is the eternal struggle of this game. Like I said, solo queuing is a dice roll where you have no control over whether you win or lose. You're just at the whim of the matchmaker, hoping you get a sensible team and your power level is at least close to the enemy. Bronze 5 is where you start. Then you go up to Bronze 1, then Silver 5 to 1, Gold 5 to 1, Diamond, Omega, and recently they added the Ultima tier. The highest I got was Omega 3. It was a grueling climb. 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. Eventually you just neutralize and you're unable to get any higher. Each rank up gives you some rewards, but they aren't worth all that effort. In the last few weeks, I've only been able to get it to the higher diamond tiers. Omega seems to be out of my reach now. It seems the whales have just zoned me out now. I was stuck at Diamond 2 for so long, just going up, down, never progressing. The game is getting more punishing to play, because strong pay-to-win players are only getting stronger as time goes on, and everyone else is kind of stagnant. The free-to-plays and the minnows are dropping off when they realize it's basically a humiliation ritual for them. The gacha system is so soul-sucking, it's no wonder people are abandoning it. Let me show you how bad it is. First, let's talk character gacha, which honestly isn't bad. When you start the game, you get to choose one of the 4 simpler characters from each class to keep. That's Warrior of Light, Support, Terra, Ranged, Cloud, Melee, and Lightning, Agile. Once they teach you the game, you can get a free 10 ability draw, which you can re-roll as many times as you want. That's nice. You also get 1 free character draw to re-roll. Also nice. You could just roll over and over until you get the ability you want and the character you want. I was focused on Lightning, so I stopped after getting one of her ultra rares. My first character roll was Zidane, who I promptly re-rolled into Rinoa and was fine with that. Character tickets are somewhat rare to come by, and using one gets you a 6% chance of drawing any given character. Or if you want to wait for a new character's featured banner, you'll have about a 33% chance of drawing them. The marketing placed a huge emphasis on the fashion of Dissidia Duellum. All these guys have their own Tokyo drip. But there's no customization involved here. There's 2 unique outfits for every character, their drip and their old classic costume. There's 2 extra palette-swapped versions of each, literally just to muddy the draw pool. Costumes are purely cosmetics, so there's not much of a reason to draw for them except to maybe get job medals from a dupe roll. Most of us are just gonna want to collect all the characters, which is fairly easy to do, at least if you can wait a month or so to collect enough tickets. Instead of drawing from the pool, you can spend 5 tickets for a guaranteed buy of any character in the game. So, if you play long enough and keep holding those tickets, you definitely can unlock them all, and that's nice. But since there's a 6% chance to draw anyone, you are better off just rolling for the most part. I never once spent the 5 for a guarantee because, think about it, if you spend those 5 going for instead 5 separate random draws, as long as you hit 1 new character, it was worth it. That gambler's logic worked out for me, and I finished the roster while getting some other costumes and job medals along the way. Now I'm left with 30-something tickets, and I'm not sure what to do with them. I'll never have a problem getting a new character again because they always come with a featured banner. So, yeah, this gacha system is totally fine and tolerable. What's the catch? Pause. While working on this video, we got our very first new costume, so I have to insert this into the script. It's Cloud's snowy icicle jacket. Not a very exciting outfit. And if that was just it, I wouldn't think it to be worth adding to this video, but when I found out how to obtain it, I changed my mind. You gotta hear this. You'd think they'd just make a new featured draw and then add it to the pool with the rest of them. No, this is a limited time costume. And to get it, you must use specially made exclusive outfit tickets. You can only obtain these tickets by pulling on this one special Cloud featured ability banner. There's nothing new to gain from this banner besides the same abilities you may already have, but you gotta do it if you want the costume. You get one of these tickets after pulling 33 times on this banner. But that's not even the crazy part. Using a ticket does not just get you the new costume. It can be used on a new costume banner, which gives you only a 10% chance of pulling that new costume. Didn't get it? Go ahead and pull another 33 times on that other banner. Now, there is a pity system. If you do this a total of 5 times, it will give you a guaranteed chance at the outfit. That's a total of 165 draws, or perhaps 165 US dollars. For a white jacket? This is how they introduce new costumes being added? Like, this wasn't even the Advent Children outfit or the Corneo dress or something that would get fans excited. It's a goddamn white jacket. This is them establishing the precedent for the most basic and uninteresting additions to the game. They haven't even started adding battle effects to costumes, which you know they will someday. I just got done talking about how I have too many character draw tickets with nothing to spend them on. Surely they saw that too. They saw that players were well prepared for new costumes and there'd be no reason to spend money to get them because we have all these tickets. So they made it unobtainable with those tickets. All of this for a single new cosmetic. The future of the game is looking grim already. Anyway, at least obtaining characters is still reasonable, but there is that huge catch I was teasing about. Let's get back to the point I was trying to make. It's time for that kicker I was referencing earlier. I've discussed a lot of evil design decisions in this game, but this might be the actual worst. This, I think, is the biggest reason why a player would quit the game. Yes, it's easy to unlock these characters, but to succeed with these characters, you need their ultra rare abilities. Every character has something that makes them unique. They have their own gimmick. I'm actually surprised how well these characters stand out from each other. They all feel pretty unique. The problem is that gimmick is almost always tied directly to these ultra rare abilities. They don't come with any abilities on their own. They're basically nothing, just having the character, you have nothing. And if you're trying to go beyond gold in rankings, or more importantly, if you're trying to play this character and have fun with whatever their specialty is, you have to get super lucky gambling. To the community, most characters are considered unplayable unless they have both of their matching ultra rares, because you just can't fulfill your role in battle without them. I should be clear, it's not like the lower tier rare and super rare abilities are just like less good versions of the ultra rares. No, those are both usually basic uninteresting moves. There is no less good version of the ultra rare. You either have the move that makes your character make sense, or you don't. There's no in between. That's what's painful about playing this. Other gacha games I've played, there's always a poor man's version of the premium thing, right? So at least those players can exist. At least they can get somewhere. Let's say in Ever Crisis, a new ice weapon banner will come out. It's now the best ice weapon in the game. Power creep, but you can't afford it. So what do? Whatever event is live that requires ice, you use whatever other ice weapon you have. Ever Crisis has all kinds of different item pools you can use free draw tickets on to get the less good things that still might work for you. Characters come with a pool of abilities to choose from on their own, not just one or two. You can even earn vouchers to grab a guaranteed copy of the weapon of your choice. They start weak and become stronger as you build them in the game, so it's actually very easy and cheap to get the lower tier version. It's about spending more crystals to make it better, but you don't have to. You can work with lower tiers. Power creep will always happen, but there's always a backup plan too. In Dissidia Duellum, it's all or nothing. You must pull on that banner, and you must get lucky on that banner or you don't get to play this character. Period. And when I say you gotta get lucky, I really mean that. I can't believe I'm using Ever Crisis as a good example, but I'm doing it again. Every banner in that game has a stamp system, meaning every time you perform a 10 pull, you also earn stamps that progress you across the board, landing on guaranteed rewards. This allows you to budget. You can go into a banner with peace of mind, knowing if you spend your hard-earned crystals, you're guaranteed to come out with the thing you actually showed up to get. What a concept. It also has a wish list system. When pulling on a new banner, you can list a handful of older weapons you're looking to make stronger, and they'll have increased odds of being drawn. So every time you pull, you're going to strengthen your account, sometimes in more than one way. You're always progressing. Not the case in Dissidia Duellum. All you have is hope. There is no system to guarantee you anything. You show up to that banner, you could spend every last one of your Mog pay points and still come out with nothing. The only guarantee is that after performing 88 draws, it will give you one random ultra rare. You don't get to choose, it's just a random one. So I skipped one of the first big banners to save up a little more. It was the Onion Knight and Iroha one. I saved up an entire extra month because I knew Clive was coming. I wanted to play Clive. He came along with Riku in a double banner, so they were both featured, but it was still the best way to get Clive's ultra rares. I pulled on this banner 180 times. 0 Clive pulls. 0. And that meant I couldn't actually play Clive. I technically could. I could bring him into battle, but I'd be worthless to my team. I would throw every match. I didn't have the abilities to make him actually playable. I put hours into this game every day since launch. I always got my 6 sealed crystals. I always did my dailies. I did my weeklies. I got every bit of free currency I possibly could, and I bought the season pass every month. And when it came time to go for the thing I wanted, none of that was enough. And if I was rich, if I decided to just drop hundreds, thousands of dollars to continue pulling on this banner, it wouldn't change my luck. I might just still not get it. There are literally no safety measures in this game. There's no limit to the amount of money they might take from you. And if you want the maximum stats you can get out of these abilities, you need to pull 15 duplicate copies each.
Oh my god, I made a mistake. It's actually 30. I looked it up. It's 30 because at a certain point, they start asking for twice as much, and it ends up being that you need 30 each total for max power. 30.
And in case you're wondering, I did the math. The US dollar equivalent to 180 draws is actually not that far off from $180. That's how much value I used to not get Clive. Now, I did get Riku. I got actually a couple duplicates of her URs, but I didn't want to play Riku. And now she's my main. The game just decides that for you, don't worry. That's the gacha system. Nothing else to it, really. You do get a free daily draw, but it works a little bit differently than how you might think. Most gachas do the basic daily 10 draw, no special rates, just what's in the current pool. Maybe you have to watch an ad to do it. It resets at the same time every day. Like with everything else, Dissidia Duellum takes that greed and manipulation and pushes it just a little bit farther. Instead of 10 draws, let's split it in half and make them open the app twice a day, 5 draws each. Better yet, let's not have it be the same set time every day. Whenever you perform a free ad-based 5 draw, the countdown starts from 8 hours. It asks you to come back every 8 hours, which means it depends on when you wake up in the morning. It changes every day. And if you think about it, you can get 3 5 draws in a 24-hour period. But it depends on your sleep schedule. It depends on when you wake up. You gotta wake up at the same time every day, and you can only get exactly 8 hours of sleep, no more. If you're a little bit late to your 5 draw, that means you gotta be a little bit late to your next 5 draw, and eventually it just keeps pushing and pushing and pushing, and your schedule will never stay the same. Let me ask you this. This is a question of willpower. You're about to go to bed. It's bedtime. You got work in the morning, but your next free draw is 15 minutes away. Do you stay up for 15 more minutes to get a 5 draw that'll give you nothing? I did. More times than I'd care to admit playing this game. It's just 15 minutes. You might get an ultra rare. You might get a good ultra rare. And it actually happened to me once. So, I guess it was worth it. I mean, that's pure evil. They couldn't just settle at okay, every day at 12 p.m. there's a 10 draw. Yeah, it forces you to come back every day, but at least it's just that. At least you pop in, you do it, and that's it. No. This structure your day around it thing it's got to be put in a book of things evil people invented. I don't know what I'm talking about. Dissidia Duellum takes the miserable, drug-like gacha game design we're all used to, unfortunately, and subtly makes each part of it a little bit worse. You might not be able to tell if you just view the game on its surface, but if it hooks you into its feedback loop, suddenly you're planning every day around efficiently timing your matches and draws and whatnot. Suddenly 1 to 2 hours of your everyday life is spent fighting battles, most of which you never had a chance to win from the start. Okay, that's pretty much all the gross metagame talk. Now we can get back to actual gameplay. I want to start by mentioning the collection of so-called non-specific ultra rares. These are not exclusive to any character and have so far never been featured on any banner, meaning they are the rarest and most desired abilities in the game. The majority of them are just straight up better versions of basic abilities everyone has. For instance, Embolden is a basic ability. Give an ally 50% of your bravery. But the ultra rare Ramza gives 80%. Basic Cura restores 40% HP, but ultra rare Hope from FF13 restores 100%. Basic Barrier blocks 50% of damage, but the ultra rare Selfie from FF8 blocks 80%. You're basically invincible. Almost everyone uses Selfie. If you don't have Selfie, you're on a lower level than everybody else. Firaga is a medium damage close range attack. Ultra Rare Auron is the same thing, but much more damage. And then there's Ace from Type 0. Nothing really compares to Ace. It's its own overpowered move that has probably attracted the most hatred and calls for nerfs within the community. It's an extremely long-range fire laser that seems to just kill you. Like, if I'm caught without a barrier up, this move just decimates me. And you can't run away because its range is ridiculous. The amount of times I've just been stabbed in the back by Ace with no possible recovery, I could just scream. Actually, I have screamed quite a few times because of it. And I don't own it myself, so I can't even tell you what it's like to use it. Instead, I'll just pretend like I'm on a moral high ground against the low-life Ace users who have to rely on cracked abilities to win. I hope you're happy with yourselves. Another pretty important and unique ability is Minwu. This lets you instantly teleport to any crystal on the map. It can completely change your strategy. You can intercept enemies, run away from certain doom if you're fast enough, and overall, it's just a huge upgrade to any character's mobility. But you gotta get lucky and draw it. It's like a 0.06% chance. We've had our first collab event, which added a few new non-specific UR abilities, and it was with Final Fantasy Record Keeper. Yeah, that one's still kicking over in Japan. And these abilities were actually freely given out, which was nice, but as you can guess, they're not nearly as good as the ones you can get by drawing. The only one worth using was Tyro, or is it Tiru? He's like the main guy from Record Keeper. This lets you share 60% of your bravery with an ally. Still not as good as Ramza, but I don't have Ramza, so it's an upgrade for me. The recent update added Aerith, which reduces all damage to 1 for a few seconds, basically invincibility. So, wow, Selfie's already power crept, awesome. Anyway, there are a few others, but they're not worth talking about. Let's move on to the part of the video that might actually be fun to talk about. The characters. Each of them have a pretty unique playstyle. You already know that playstyle can only truly be accessed with banner luck, so I'm gonna try not to keep harping on that. Let's just approach this like it were a normal game. It might be enjoyable. First up, from Final Fantasy I, technically, it's Mr. Dissidia himself, the Warrior of Light. As a support class, he's built around assisting his teammates in both attack and defense, and that's apparent in his main Ultra Rare, which spawns a damage-dealing aura around all allies. Every character has their own passive trait and unique ability that actually comes baked into the character. The unique is activated by holding the attack button down. His unique freezes him in place to put a 15% damage barrier on all allies. I struggle to find an ideal time to use this, because if I shield them, I have to not do anything else. I could be purifying crystals or something. I'll do it if I'm seeing someone being attacked, but usually 15% isn't even gonna change much. His passive boosts the attack of all nearby allies just automatically, encouraging you to still be in the action even if you're not the main DPS. I feel like my teammates never remember that part because they should wait until I'm nearby to attack the boss. When they're bursted, I'm usually heading towards them, but they just attack before I get there and they're missing out on extra damage. His other abilities just provide some extra damage assistance. I feel like Warrior of Light is regarded as the worst support in the game because of his fairly underwhelming moves compared to the other two supports who seem to take command of entire matches with their power. You'll see what I mean. From Final Fantasy II, it's the wielder of the blood sword, Firion. I love that they played into the fact that the blood sword was so overpowered in FF2 and made it his whole gimmick. Firion is a monstrous melee fighter who restores 20% of all ability damage to his own HP. If you find yourself in a 1v1 fight with him, you're at a big disadvantage unless you use your iframes really well, or you can surprise one-shot him with Ace or something. Yeah, you would do that. But if you can't, my advice is to run away, though you might get got by his unique ability, a long shot that can snipe you from a distance. It only does a little damage, though it's not that good. Other than that, he just does fat damage with the rest of his kit. You can't go wrong playing as Firion. He hits hard and has built-in recovery. From Final Fantasy III, technically, the not very iconic Onion Knight. Our first agile character. He's a good example of how that class acts like half support, half DPS. Understanding his passive ability is the key to his playstyle. He earns double XP from kills. XP levels your team up to a max of 9, increasing stats more and more as the match goes on. With double XP, he can get the team to that max much earlier in the match, giving all of you a big advantage over the enemy. But this is all providing your team lets you. Players don't always seem to understand that they need to lay off the monsters sitting under the crystals, especially at the beginning of the match. Onion Knight needs to get the kill to bring the double XP. You can really screw yourselves by ignoring him and just killing monsters like you normally would. Especially because Onion Knight is quite weak, but has an additional passive where his attack and defense get an extra big boost when he reaches level 9. Both of his ultra rares come with additional bonus attacks at level 9. In the right hands, he's very good, but if he gets stuck under-leveled for too long, he becomes a detriment. From Final Fantasy IV, it's not the main character, but a fan favorite, Kain. He's a melee dragoon with the unique ability to leap forward and launch foes into the air, briefly locking them in their place. It's very fun to catch people running away from you, and it briefly boosts your attack when you land it, so you can follow up with a punishment right away. His super rare is an additional attack boost, so it also helps to stack up when you're going for the boss. His main ultra rare allows him to jump to any crystal on the map and basically kill everything on it. I've seen Kain players come in with Minwu so they can grab the crystal right at the enemy spawn at the start of the match and then teleport away before they knew what hit him. You can zip zoom all around the map with 2 teleport abilities. And in burst mode, this move will instantly bring you down on the boss so you can prep your attack boosts in a safe spot and let it all go at once. No one ever knows when you're gonna attack. He seems fun. I would try him out if I had his ultra rares, but I think his overall damage potential is still lower than other melee characters, so he's not my first choice. From Final Fantasy V, a surprising newcomer. It's Kryle. I was excited and happy to see a fresh face like this in the base roster, but not only have I never found either of her ultra rares, she also turned out to be the most annoying character ever to fight against. She's a support character, but I find her to be stupidly overpowered in that role. Her gimmick is that she can't attack much at all, but makes up for it by vastly increasing the bravery given to other allies. Inherently, through her passive ability, she simply provides more bravery from purifying crystals. Like, just having Kryle on your team means you get more bravery, period. Her unique ability holds her in place and slowly drains any bravery she has, delivering it to her allies. She can get both teammates to max bravery before you know it, making her a huge target. Now that sounds like a big disadvantage. Everyone's gonna go for killing Kryle and it should be easy, right? She can't fight you, so all you should need to do is hunt her down. No. With the defensive abilities she has, and her meta setup is to have as many defensive abilities as possible, it makes it almost impossible to kill this little girl. Her main ultra rare grants a continuous super heal to all allies for 15 seconds. It's such a fast heal, and it can go over like 300% HP or something like that. It may as well be invincibility. I've never seen anybody die under the effects of this ability. Combine that with Selfie or Aerith or both, and there's simply nothing you can do. If you're fighting someone and see Kryle pull this move wherever she is, you just have to immediately turn around. You will only waste time trying to wait for all the defenses to burn out. Even if you do stick around because you know Kryle is still not going to fight back, she might come with Minwu to get her out of there in that specific emergency scenario. And if you can still manage to hunt her down at that point, that just means her team is a bunch of idiots because all they need to do is come in and protect her and you're done. Kryle players make me more angry than getting shot in the back by an ace laser. Nothing is more soul-crushing than the futility of approaching Kryle and seeing that same cycle of invincibility moves begin. Or in the chance event that they're all on cooldown and you can finally get her, she just gives all her bravery away right before death. So you basically gain nothing out of killing her for all that work. All you have to do as Kryle is sit on the first crystal by your spawn, farm it, and turn on invincibility when someone threatens you. My perception of this innocent little girl has been completely ruined, and I now want to kick her in the face every time I see her. I can never play Final Fantasy V the same way again. Moving on. From Final Fantasy VI, it's our first ranged character, Terra. She specializes in straight shooting pierce attacks and fast cooldowns. Her passive inherently decreases the cooldown of all fire abilities, so she's a fiend with Ace Fire. Her super rare is basically an exclusive Ace Fire-like attack that penetrates barriers, so Selfie won't save you here. Her main ultra rare transforms her into Esper form, tremendously decreasing cooldown time and increasing speed. She's about sniping people down, pretty self-explanatory. All the ranged characters are focused on killing other players, while also providing decent damage to the boss. If you can play her cooldown boosting thing correctly, you might be able to get double attacks in on the boss, so that could help you out a lot. If you encounter a Terra in battle, really, you just gotta watch out for her because she could snipe you. From Final Fantasy VII, it's none other than Cloud. Arguably more self-explanatory than Terra, he just does big damage. His passive is just increases damage to bosses. That's his thing. I think he was designed to be the easiest character to figure out as they anticipated his popularity. Omni Slash and Cross Slash are both just big attacks, and his low tier attack, Braver, is still worth bringing along because those other ones take so long to perform that if you start your chain with Braver, it'll be ready to use again by the time you're done with the rest of your moveset. Cross Slash is also good for player-to-player combat because it stuns other players, so doing a Cross Slash followed by a Braver, usually you can just kill somebody with that. His unique ability is the Ascension move, so he charges forward and shoots him up into the air, and you can actually juggle people with this if you're good enough. It's very annoying. But yeah, otherwise, that's Cloud. It's Cloud from Final Fantasy VII. Flying in from Final Fantasy VIII, it's the Sweet Angel Rinoa. Rinoa was the first character I got both ultra rares for, so it was my fate. I've been a Rinoa main ever since. I lucked out because she's one of the worst examples of being pretty much useless without those ultra rares. Her playstyle is all dependent on her Angel Wings UR, which provides her permanent buffs that stack up to 3 times. She starts off very weak because she's meant to be a late bloomer. On the 3rd Angel Wing use, she evolves into a killing machine. But if you don't have that move at all, that means she's just gonna stay weak the whole match. She can't do anything. It also works as a free full heal with iframes, so it's really great for getting out of fights. Basically, if you're in fully buffed Rinoa range without a shield for more than like 5 seconds, you're gonna get shredded. I think she has a more threatening presence as a ranged character than Terra. Her other ultra rare, Meteor, does great damage to the boss as well. She's a pretty easy character to get the hang of. I've played over 300 matches with her, which unlocks a new weapons skin. Yeah, they got weapons skins in this. The only other one you can get is after 1,000 matches, I think, which gets you this shiny gold glowing version. I hope I never get that far. Her passive increases the amount of bravery you start with on respawn. Not the greatest thing, since it requires dying in the first place. You don't really want to do that. Her unique is actually pretty cool. It's a short distance teleport. At first, I didn't understand the point of it. You have to stand still and wait for the reticule to move, so it's not any faster than just walking. You can't get out of danger quickly, especially because you have to stand still while using it. But then I realized, pretty late actually, that you can teleport over the ledges in Shudo Expressway and Kawasaki Seaside. That is a pretty big advantage. You can invade the enemy's spawn that's meant to be an isolated and safe area while still being able to bail reliably. This is only good on 2 out of the 5 maps so far though. It's basically pointless on the others. So even though I'm a Rinoa main, I don't think she's amazing. I feel like you're better off playing a character who can deal more damage, especially when you get to the higher tiers. From Final Fantasy IX, the mischievous thief, Zidane. Zidane was once regarded as the worst character in the game, and that's unfortunate because he's really fun to play. He's an agile, so he zooms around the map really fast, and his whole gimmick is about stealing bravery. Holding down the unique ability button makes him speed forward, and letting go makes him leap and grab some of the bravery off an enemy in front of him. His passive increases his movement speed even faster when his HP is lower than 40%. Throwing a wrench into their plans by popping out of nowhere and swiping some bravery they've been working hard to build up is always satisfying, and it reflects Zidane's personality perfectly. He's a little trickster. His super rare is another AoE bravery stealing attack that drains much more, and his main ultra rare is Trance, which greatly increases attack and multiplies bravery stolen from the swipe attack by 9. Cause he's from Final Fantasy 9. You can really piss people off with this if they were close to max and you set them all the way back down, but they can't do much about it when you zoom the heck out of there right after. The problem, though, is Zidane is just super weak, so there's not much to do with all that bravery. His other ultra rare is just a normal AoE attack that isn't super impressive. You're better off going in with a bravery sharing move, so whatever you steal can be passed over to a more capable teammate. But if that's all you're doing, it doesn't sound quite as helpful as just being another DPS or even a support. On the right team, he can be MVP. A really good Zidane player can make it so the other team never finds enough bravery to even get an attack in, while it all goes to your allies. People who play at the highest tiers have called Zidane one of the best characters in the game. For the average solo queuer, it usually does not work out. Like, he basically acts as a support even though he's technically an agile, so if the game pairs a Zidane with an actual support, leaving you with only one damaging teammate, that is a bad situation. From time to time, I will still play him though. He's got one of the more unique playstyles. Speaking of support, from Final Fantasy X, the long-awaited Riku. For those who don't know, the previous game, Opera Omnia, famously added such a plethora of Final Fantasy characters and started doing some deep cuts too. Almost every party member from every mainline made it in, but perhaps the most requested, who never made it, was Riku. It became a meme of sorts. Even Pain from 10-2 made it in, but not Riku. So I don't know if this was an intentional makeup for old times, but Riku is finally in Dissidia as the first FF10 rep. She's a support character with some pretty game-changing abilities. Both ultra rares are required to play this character correctly. One of them fully heals and then doubles the health bar of all allies, making them so much harder to cut through. You can tell this has a mind game effect on players because I've found people are so much less likely to take you on if they see that buffed up health bar above your head. It's pretty intimidating stuff, though it has a 110-second cooldown. Her other ability is the real key to her strategy. It copies her bravery and gives it to all allies. It's literally just a copy-paste. So while Kryl drains her bravery and gives it to others, Riku can just keep having max bravery and keep copying it as long as this ability cools down and can be reused again. If you're maxed out and a teammate just died, resetting them to like 1,000 bravery, boom, well now they have max. And so does the other guy on the team. Now they're both ready to hit the boss at the same time to get a burst chain going. And that is pretty much exactly how you're meant to play Riku. Just like Kryl, she's not meant to attack, she's meant to endure. She doesn't have that super heal that makes you invincible, so you'll have to bring other ways of surviving like barrier or a Minwu teleport. If people see Riku with a high bravery, they are going to target the heck out of you. As they should. Pulling off a max copy puts you at a large advantage. Timing is important though. A lot of times when you're on a team with Riku, you'll use your bravery burst and unleash all you got on the boss, then she'll use her power to put you right back at max again. Problem is, all of my attacks are on cooldown now. I can't do anything against the boss for at least another 40 seconds. But now I have to survive because if an enemy kills me, all that bravery goes directly to them. Screwing up as Riku can actually help the other side a lot, and that's scary. So I don't know if I'd say she's better or worse than Kryl, but they both change the dynamic of the game so much. And that's why I think Warrior of Light is in his own much lower tier in terms of the support characters in the game. From Final Fantasy XI, the warrior across time, Iroha. I'm so glad we got her instead of Shantoto or Prish. She's way cooler. Another big damaged melee fighter like Cloud or Firion. Her max potential comes with stacking abilities correctly, because her passive increases attack each time you use an ability consecutively, and it stacks up to 4 times. So you're smart to bring at least 4 attacks with her. You definitely want to save them for the boss if you can. Her ultra rare Fuga creates an AoE damage field that lowers defense and speed, and her ultra rare Gachirin is a bigger AoE damage field that, when used after 2 other abilities consecutively, comes with an extra high damage attack. So she's all about playing for that perfect storm. With other characters, sometimes it's okay to use whatever's available if it's gonna take too long for another attack to cool down. But with Iroha, you really want to get that max damage. Otherwise, you might as well play Cloud. And with the attack buffing combined with the defense lowering, she can hit pretty hard. Her unique button ability is just a forward charge attack, also like Cloud. And that's about it. The damage dealers are the more simple characters in the game. From Final Fantasy XII, it's the leading man, Balthier. Wow, I'm so glad we got him instead of Vaughn. Balthier is a ranged guy, so he specializes in killing other players, and boy does he kill. He kills better than anyone else in the game. I'm talking like 2 pops and you're dead sometimes. That's mostly thanks to his ultra rare Fires of War, which simply buffs the attack of your next 6 normal shots. They appear in orbs circling around him as a warning. You best run away if you see that. His passive increases the bravery gained from defeating other players, hammering home that prime directive. Yet he faces a similar problem to Zidane. Once you got that bravery, what do? His other ultra rare is a single hit attack. It just doesn't do great boss damage at all. It's a very fun attack though. It sends a slow moving rock hurtling in that direction, and it doesn't seem to stop until it hits a wall, pretty much killing any player that touches it in one hit. You can send it down a long corridor and hope players aren't paying attention, and they'll just get steamrolled. It's hilarious. I can't believe the amount of times I've been killed by this. Every Balthier player seems to know the perfect timing for it. You might have fun hunting other players down, but you're not going to be helping your team much at all. This is how people criticize Balthier. Getting their bravery by killing them is nice, but Zidane can do that much faster by stealing and more effectively than killing them. You can bring a bravery sharing ability, but that strategy just doesn't work as well on Balthier. He might actually be the worst character in the game. He needs something more to his kit. His one trick is that he can kill players. But the goal of the game is to kill the boss. He's kind of playing his own side quest. From Final Fantasy XIII, who else but Lightning? As our last tutorial pickable character, she's the simplest of the Agile class. She moves fast, so do the other Agiles, but she does a lot more damage than the others from the start of the match. Her passive is an increase in damage dealt to small monsters, aka not bosses, the ones under the crystals. This makes her job to zip around the map and be a crystal purifying machine. When it comes time to deal damage to the boss, she's still pretty capable on her own, but it would be best if you waited for a teammate to burst chain. Since I chose her from the start, she was my main for a while, but to this day I've only ever found one of her ultra rares. I'm still missing Army of One, which is a good damaging attack for both players and bosses. I had to retire her because I just couldn't reasonably play her on ranked. Though in my experience with other characters, I feel she's low tier either way. Sure, she can purify crystals fast, but it's not like most characters take that long to kill monsters on their own. Even with weak characters, you can usually bring along an AoE ability to help yourself out. That's usually what Onion Knight does. She's stronger than Onion Knight as an Agile, but his ability to level up the team faster is a much more valuable support skill. And when he hits level 9, I'm pretty sure he's stronger than Lightning anyway. I don't think it's a coincidence that the 4 characters they let you choose from the start are generally on a lower tier than others. That's too bad, because Lightning's cool, and she was on the modern fashion train way before all these posers. From Final Fantasy XIV, this was a surprise. Gaia, a character who doesn't show up until the 3rd expansion. Designed by Tetsuya Nomura, he wanted to give his goth girl some more time in the spotlight. Good for her. We didn't need another Y'shtola appearance anyway. She's another melee DPS, but has an interesting gimmick of her own. She deals with modifying action speed. Using her unique ability increases action speed for 20 seconds, and her passive makes it so your defenses always increase whenever action speed is increased. Kinda redundant, but you're basically always looking to enact that quick buff before you head into a fight. Most of her abilities will decrease the action speed of opponents. Watching them move in slow motion is pretty funny, and it's easy to dodge their attacks or get more hits in before they could even use a barrier. Her Fated Moment ultra rare is essentially a doom countdown that sticks to an enemy and kills them in 8 seconds if they don't set up a barrier fast enough. Her Diamond Destroyer Ultra Rare lowers their speed, increases yours, also increases your attack, and deals big damage. She has a little bit more going on than the average melee character. I haven't fully figured her out. I only just managed to get both of her Ultra Rares, but high tier players say she's one of the best in the game. I believe it because I be dying to her. From Final Fantasy 15, it's your best bro Prompto. I'm guessing since he uses guns, he was an easy mark for a ranged class, so they threw him in. The unique ability alone makes him pretty fun. You just hold the trigger down on a machine gun and you can freely aim while sitting in place. It takes me right back to playing episode Prompto. Now, is this a practical way of killing anything? Not really, but it is enjoyable. And if you don't want to use a cooldown ability, it's a decent alternative. His passive ability increases damage during a burst chain. Basically, you should not be attacking the boss unless you can get a burst chain. His super rare can stun enemies, which when paired with one of your high damage ultra rares is likely going to result in a free kill. While you're waiting for the burst chain, it is fun to just sit there shooting the boss in the face, but yeah, in general I don't feel like I contribute much as Prompto. The whole class of ranged characters feel like they're just not as good as the melee ones sometimes. Like, if I could pick my team, I'd sooner go for a second melee than a ranged for the sake of variety. As a Rinoa main, I will put my vote in for her being the best one, because she can kill players easily, but still can do pretty good damage to the boss and has built-in defense too. After playing Prompto for a bit, I'm kinda left thinking, why wouldn't I just play her instead? And from Final Fantasy 16, the only option, Clive. As I said before, I never got either of his ultra rares, so I'm not going to be speaking from experience here. I believe his strength lies in hitting the boss while in burst mode without using your abilities. His passive enhances his normal attacks while in burst mode, and his super rare creates a damage dealing aura around you for 30 seconds. You can just sit there on the boss and whittle away for as long as you'd like if no one comes to stop you. His two ultra rares are pretty basic big attacks you can use whenever the enemy draws near or an ally comes in for a burst chain. One of them fully restores your health, so you can deny an enemy trying to kill you in the middle of it. Other than the burst stalling, he's like the other melees. He's great for the old boss baiting strat, but nothing else is super special about him. Those are your cast of 16 mainline reps, but the recent update introduced our first limited time character. A limited character is one who's only going to be obtainable this month. Their abilities will not be placed into the pool, so you better spend all your money before they're gone. This is a pretty standard gacha thing. Ever Crisis is very guilty of it too. Though they have since added a special limited weapon exclusive pool that you can slowly earn draws for. That helps the situation a bit. I imagine a similar thing will come with time in Dissidia, but I'm not sure how often we're gonna get limited characters. Is every character gonna be limited? No, that would be too crazy even for this game. But it is possible they could say, hey, we have one rep from every mainline, so that's it, that's the base roster. Everyone else is a bonus. Let's hope not. And limited stuff in this game is actually worse than Ever Crisis, because I explained the whole power creep situation before. How even if a new ice limited weapon came out and you couldn't get it, you could still use the non-limited ice weapon from earlier, right? But every character in this game is unique, so if you missed this character that's limited, you're just not gonna ever be able to play that character ever. Even if you spent all your money to try and get his abilities and you didn't get all the abilities, you never will. You know, at least with time, with all the other non-limited abilities. You could say, you'll probably get them all, you know, like put a bunch of monkeys in a room, eventually they'll write Shakespeare. Eventually, the odds will hopefully work out that you will get all of these. It'll just take a very long time, but not with limited. If it's limited, you got this month. You gotta spend all your money. It sucks. But anyway, this last character we'll discuss is from Final Fantasy VII. Who would have guessed? It's Sephiroth. He's a ranged character who sports the highest base attack stat in the game so far. They gave him Supernova as an ultra rare. It has the longest animation and it attacks all foes on the map, no matter where they are, with heavy damage, stuns them, and ignores barriers. The only way to avoid it is to use an ultra rare or go into burst mode at max bravery to use those precious iframes. But you gotta time it right for the moment it hits. On a meta level, that's kind of the reason you use Supernova. It knocks some players' big attacks off of them for a while, makes them have to wait for the cooldown. It's funny when both teams have a Sephiroth because one will use Supernova right after the other, and by the time the first one finishes the animation, he'll get hit by the second one. This will also wipe out monsters under crystals so you can just walk up and purify them right away for free. It's the flashiest thing in the game, but if you're smart, you can usually deal with it. His unique ability is a counter. Pulling up the Scintilla shield can throw any player's attack right back at them. You can even deflect Supernova back at Sephiroth. That's hilarious. The Seph players who have this move figured out are the real dangerous ones. I pulled on this banner and even got a few extra copies of each UR, but I still kinda like Renoa better. His passive though is so stupid, it's great. He increases movement speed when Cloud is nearby. So he's really good at chasing you down. If you're Cloud. If your teammate is a Cloud, you can just keep sticking with him and have your fanfiction team up you've always dreamed of. If no one is Cloud, then you just don't have a passive ability. That's a big mark against Sephiroth. But the joke was worth it. He's even funnier because it's like they nerfed Cloud for no reason. He's just at a disadvantage against this new character while no one else is. Usually, limited stuff in gacha games are a power creep above the usual stuff, but I'm not sure if that's the case here. He seems very threatening, but you can deal with him if you know what you're doing. It's still just a way to give people FOMO and to make them spend their money because they think they'll never get a chance again. It does make me wonder what the long-term power creep is gonna look like for this game. Because it's fun to try out new characters, but the smartest thing to do is to choose one character and keep pulling for them whenever they're featured. Keep bolstering their abilities, giving them higher stats. Pulling for a new character means you're starting from square one again. So far, I don't think any character they've added is objectively better than their old equivalent in every situation. Maybe the starting tutorial of 4 are kinda weak, but you can still make them work. We haven't had a moment so far that felt like, oh, here's a new character, it does the same thing as this old character but better. And it would be really hard to get away with that since this is a PvP game. Basically every weapon they add in Ever Crisis is a better version of a previous one. That's just the progression of the game. They can't do that here, but then how do they incentivize people to pull on someone new once they realize the real key to winning is to pull more copies of old abilities? They just recently started a weekly banner that focuses on one character at a time. If I'm a Renoa main, I should just throw all my money on hers when it comes out. I'll definitely be stronger than my eventual Tidus will be if he's the next newcomer. That is, if I actually get lucky on the draws. Power creep has already started with the non-specific ultra rares. The new Aerith limited banner is pretty much just a better selfie. So they might continue in that direction, introducing new non-specifics that can only be obtained in this new character banner. But that can't be the only form of power creep. It just can't. One thing that's always constant in these games is there's always a higher quality tier. Right now it's ultra rare, but what if they added omega rare? What if every character got a new ability even better than their current best? That would keep everyone on the same level, but still force players to pay for new stuff to keep up with that level. I don't see that happening until maybe a year into the game. For now, they'll just keep drip feeding characters and hope people care more about playing new ones than they care about winning. They're gonna hope players want to spend money to get those stupid limited costumes like that Icicle Cloud one. I predict before the end of 2026 they'll add some new equipable thing that enhances you somehow. Maybe some kind of interchangeable passive ability slot, or maybe the game will die before then, preferably. All we have left to talk about now is the story. Dissidia is pretty hit or miss when it comes to story. The first game had lots of interesting lore and a fun twist at the end. NT didn't have a story. They retroactively added one and it felt kinda insignificant. Opera Omnia had too much story, the usual mobile game bloat that comes with years of drip feeding the plot. But the one thing I feel all of these games had to some extent was fun interactions between the characters. That's kind of the main thing you come to a crossover story for. It's just nice to see Yuna pair up with Zidane, Lightning fighting Sephiroth, Warrior of Light being bros with Noctis. These games all have that, at least a little bit, and Dissidia Duellum does too. The context is different though. These warriors are usually bound together by this endless cycle of cosmos versus chaos, and they have to work together to make it to the end and clash with the bad guys. Duellum brings these heroes together to hang out at the arcade, have a cup of coffee, and play with the dog in the park. They also fight monsters to protect the city, yeah, but the focus, at least so far, is more on these guys experiencing real-life Tokyo and just vibing. It's doing the same mobile game drip feed plot as Opera Omnia. I put off this video for long enough waiting for something to maybe happen. Nothing's really happened yet, so this story review is only going to cover the first 4 seasons. I know, 4 seasons sounds like a decent amount, but it's not. Still, if reading silly group chats between all these guys sounds fun to you, look them up on YouTube instead of playing the game. New seasons come out every month, and the good news is you'll be able to view cutscenes and group chats from old seasons without having to unlock them, but the current season will require lots of grinding from you before you can see it all. There's just not much worth seeing, especially for all that work. The first big pre-rendered cutscene that served as the trailer for the game is amazing. It's beautiful. Nothing in the game is like that at all. Season 1, A New World. This is the tutorial season that everyone must beat before unlocking the rest of it, so it has all the setup. Once you beat this, you can start on whatever the current season is. The story begins with... Wait, is that Cloud Strife? From Final Fantasy VII? He appears in a void with Sephiroth from Final Fantasy VII because we can't get away from Final Fantasy VII. But then he wakes up in Tokyo next to a dorky kid named Ren. He's an original character, the only civilian we see interacting with the heroes. Sephiroth uses a crystal to steal the life force from a few other civilians and uses it to create evil clones of the heroes in order to contextualize the fighting that happens in the game. Same thing as the mannequins from the other games. The bosses that appear are agents of chaos put there to do the same thing, and it's up to Cloud Strife from Final Fantasy VII and some other guys to keep them in check. The heroes don the name Ghosts, because they only appear visible to others during battle and swiftly disappear when the job is done. Don't know why Ren can see them though. He gives Terra a lucky charm. They win the battle, and they use the purified crystal to bring back the life force of the civilians who were stolen from before. That's all the exposition for why you endlessly fight the same boss monsters over and over to advance the story. Then Mog adds Cloud to the group chat. These little group chat strings are what you mostly get from progressing a season. It's where Mog manages them all and alerts them to new monster appearances. Is this Mog the same one from the other Dissidias? We don't really know yet. Zidane starts blowing his cover on purpose to get famous and recognized by the public. Lightning scolds him at Burger King in front of the hose. Terra tries minding her own business, but Ren stalks her and pushes really hard to be her friend. She unfortunately gives in and lets him show her around town, even gives him her number. Lightning scolds Terra for being weak and giving up information to strangers. Later, Ren crashes the party of Kane, Kryl, and Zidane. Kane's like, "Alright kid, where are your parents?" And he says, "I don't have any." Later on in the group chat, some of the ghosts are talking about how they're all hanging out with Ren, and it's weird that no monsters appear when he's around. He's also always alone and seems to come from nowhere. Nothing to worry about though. The season ends when Mog shows everyone readings that a big attack is about to happen in Ginza. Season 2. The fight rages on. It opens with Ren texting someone named Gom about finally having an in with the ghosts. His little lucky charm shines bright, and immediately a behemoth starts wreaking havoc on Ginza. With it, a giant meteor heading towards the city. The team works hard to hold it back, but they can only stop so much of the destruction. People die, and despair falls on the city. The event causes a stir within the community. Some start to think, what if the ghosts are bad actually? While others remain thankful for their help. Weeks later, Onion Knight and Iroha arrive. They help restore people's faith by fighting a boss without hiding their identities. The rest of the season is the group chat reacting to the shifting feelings of the community and working to regain their trust. Ren has been ignoring any texts they send his way. Furion and Balthier arrive, and they see Ren for a brief moment before he runs away, leaving his lucky charm behind. They track him down at Burger King, and he's very thankful for their return of the charm, but scuttles off quickly again. Furion is just happy to help, and Balthier is suspicious. Season 3. Warriors Assemble. Riku and Clive arrive. They also run into Ren and save him from a monster. He once again runs away because his dad is looking for him? Oh, that's a lie. He said he didn't have parents. A mysterious green meteoric mass of energy lands on Shudo Expressway. Cloud has a bad feeling about it. And the rest of the season is just anecdotal group texts. Season 4. A Planet in Peril. Sephiroth arrives. I mean, he was there before, but now he's really here. He tells Cloud and Lightning that they're wasting their time and the true threat already eats away at this world. Its days are numbered. Later on, he reports back to Ren. He's been taking orders by the little kid in the Space Bear hoodie. How embarrassing. Well, he claims to only be allying with him temporarily for some mysterious reason. Ren still claims he's trying to save the world, but he's obviously lying to the heroes, so what's his deal? Sephiroth texts this Gom guy who talks like a Moogle. You know, like Kupo. Kupo this, Kupo that. So is this just Evil Mog spelled backwards? Another person called Otherworldly Stalwart tells Sephiroth about the merging of worlds that began with the first behemoth attack in Shibuya at the start of the game. He also holds the number for an otherworldly Reaper. Both are working with Ren and waiting for the right time to do something bigger, only working with him temporarily. But of course, everything is kept a mystery. These feel like new villain teases if they're going to be added to the game. The way the Stalwart talks makes me think it's Garland, but I'm not too sure about the Reaper. People are saying that's Kuja from Final Fantasy IX because his mannequin was called the Reaper in the original Dissidia, so I guess that checks out. Meanwhile, Cloud reveals he is forklift certified, and that's the entire story so far. You can see it was weighted heavily in the beginning, but then went stagnant with seasons 2 and 3. Season 4 developed some more intrigue by finally confirming our suspicions about Ren, but we still don't know anything about his plan or Sephiroth's plan, or what's up with the otherworldly beings, who Gom is. Remember, this has all taken place over 3 months, and we still know next to nothing about what's going on. This is a Tetsuya Nomura game. He loves dangling mysteries over your head for entire multiple games at a time. I don't imagine we're going to get any answers anytime soon. We'll probably just get more questions. But I'm thinking about another mobile game he produced, Kingdom Hearts Union Cross. When that story finally ended, it was actually kind of a big revelation. It wasn't worth all the bloat. You could cut out 90% of that game and still have this ending, but the ending itself was good. It also had the benefit of being attached to the greater Kingdom Hearts story. It affected and recontextualized the real games that we actually like playing. Dissidia doesn't exactly have that benefit. You already made the connection to Final Fantasy I. Are you just gonna do that again? Maybe it will connect to Final Fantasy VII, since it's talking about merging worlds and Sephiroth is apparently closely involved. But that's probably just because he's the most popular guy and they added him to the game before the others. I don't know if there's a real reason for it being Sephiroth. Season 4 is focused on him because he was just added. He's the big new character. And next season he might be in the background for whoever gets added next. Who knows? They do have Kazushige Nojima writing the story. That's a big name, especially for FF7, so we'll see. If I were to make a crazy Nomura prediction, it would have to be that Ren is secretly a character who already exists in a mainline Final Fantasy. He could be a random, unnamed NPC we'd never guess, or he could be an actual side character in disguise. If it's one thing Nomura loves to do, it's reveal that this guy was actually this guy the whole time. It happens in almost every one of his games. It would be especially cool if we made a connection to any other mainline besides FF1. There's no telling when this takes place in the Dissidia timeline. The characters act like they've never met before, but that could just be because of the time loop memory wiping stuff. That's kind of sad. I wish they had the memories of what happened in the other games, but I know that's kind of the point. Kryl mentions that a civilian was sad about their grandpa getting hurt, and she knows how that feels. Does that mean the events of Final Fantasy V happened? If we can get Gilgamesh's input, that'll clear a lot of this up. Aside from the lack of plot development, the group chat text strings are still kind of fun. It gives you the character interaction you want out of Dissidia, but through a modern slice-of-life lens. Like the time when Firion texted Cloud asking for help because Balthier is flirting with women at the bar and he doesn't know what to do about it. Kryl can talk with animals, so she tells Rinoa that Angelo spilled the beans on her crush back home and she gets super embarrassed. Iroha goes shopping and eats multiple meals worth of food on her own, which freaks the rest of them out. Kain just keeps Dragoon aura farming on towers around the city, and Warrior of Light is like, why do you keep doing that, man? Just the animation of Warrior of Light attempting to use a phone is funny on its own. As a Final Fantasy fan, these little conversations are fun. I just wish I didn't have to grind through a million battles to see them all. I guess I don't. There's always YouTube. People somehow upload the entire story of a season the day it drops, so I don't need to play the game. I put my time in for this review. I don't have to keep playing. But will I? Let's wrap this whole experience up. There's basically nothing here for me. I can watch story uploads online. Battles are occasionally fun when they're balanced, but they so rarely are that trying to play this daily just makes me angry. The few fun battles are not nearly enough to justify the hours and hours of humiliating defeat that was totally out of your control because the game just screwed you. Even if I loved the gameplay, it wouldn't be worth it. I want you to picture a competitive online game that you love and have hundreds of hours in. Let's say it's Counter-Strike. What if matchmaking just put you against players way, way above your rank more than half the time? But they weren't high rank because they're so good, because they sunk so much time and just gained these skills. They're high rank because their AWP is more accurate. Their footsteps are just literally quieter, or they simply have more health than you. One headshot kills you, but 2 headshots are needed to kill them. What if Overwatch didn't have class limits, so you could just end up on a team with 4 support players, none of whom knew they were gonna be on this team until the match started? But now, because of unbalanced team comp matchmaking, you have a guaranteed loss and your rank goes down. Also, the enemy team supports are still just better because they paid money or got lucky on a gambling machine. Why would you put yourself through these experiences? It's just torture. There's no merit to succeeding in a game like that. Everything boils down to luck. In the recent Sephiroth update, some things were added to make the experience a little better. They added a new currency, golden hourglasses, which can be used to reduce the time to unseal crystals. Okay, that was hardly a problem before, but fine. They added 2 new stages to challenge mode, which will reward you with each ultra rare for each character if you play them. That sounds great. Not having a guaranteed way to have access to the abilities you need is probably the biggest problem with the game. But when you attempt these challenges, you realize the difficulty is so high that it's basically impossible to beat unless you have the ultra rares already. It's like a sick joke. So far, I've just done this with Firion, who I have the highest stats with, but the only reason I won was because I went to the global leaderboard and followed the 2 highest DPS players. Builds from people you follow can be used as bots in challenge mode. That was the only way I'd ever be able to win those battles, and it took hours of attempts. So no, this isn't the freebie they made it out to be. They did add an actual freebie though, a one-time pull that gives you both ultra rares of any one character of the original 16. Your choice, no catch. This is nice. I could finally just get Clive, and it's great for new players who jump in and want to immediately start playing someone. But knowing what I know about the game now, I know it's smarter to pull for whoever's my strongest already. Either Firion or Rinoa. Clive won't make me any better. In this same update, they added a whole new tier in the rankings, Ultima tier. It's basically whale exclusive. Can't give too much to those free-to-plays. I get roasted all the time when people find out I still play Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis. They think the sunk cost fallacy got me, and I've been wasting hours of my life for years now just keeping up with the game. But the truth is, I like the gameplay. I find it very satisfying to overcome the new boss fight they added, and we get a new boss fight nearly every week. It's essentially a single-player boss rush that never ends, with a tense turn-based ATB system. I even enjoy the metagame of looking forward to a new weapon every week. I love reading about what it does and how it might change the game. We're always discussing new stuff on the Refoid Discord, debating whether or not this will be worth pulling. We'll team up to fight the co-op bosses together. It's fun. I am genuinely engrossed in the live service experience that game offers. Dissidia Duellum is an endless PvP crapshoot that is aiming to have its very first new content update over 3 months after release. And it's just going to be a new map and a boss. The metagame is so greedy that it's not even worth thinking about. Why discuss it? You might not even be able to play the new character when they get added. And we know the smartest thing to do to stay in the game is to pull for one older character of your choice instead of new ones, because you'll build up their stats higher. But this makes the experience stale. You're only gonna play this one character forever because they're objectively better than anyone else you have. This is what's ultimately gonna kill the game. I think they pushed the greed too far, that it's gonna cause free-to-play burnout much faster than the average gacha game. There's nothing for free-to-plays to do besides get whooped. But hey, the game is making money, and Sephiroth arrived and they are making more money now. As he does, as the Sephiroth effect. But I don't know how long they can keep this going. This game since day one has felt like it's had no momentum. Sure, some people are always gonna shell out for their favorite character whenever they get added. If ever Crisis needs a revenue boost, they give Tifa another bikini. Then we get a spike. But that doesn't change the average downward trajectory. These games are temporary, and they change dramatically over time. Who knows what it'll look like a year from now? As for myself, I hate how much time I've spent playing this game over the past few months. I could have been playing Dragon Quest or anything else. I got nothing out of it except this video. So from here on out, I vow to not fall for Dissidia Duellum's sunk cost fallacy. I will no longer be keeping up with dailies. I will no longer buy the season pass. I will only play this game when I have nothing to do but kill time. I'll fall behind on the ranks and the meta. I'll not have enough points to pull on every new character that comes out, but I do want to see how they play when they do come out, because I'm a fan of the series. And I'll look at the monthly cutscenes and text chains. I just don't want to be spending a significant amount of my time playing this game. I don't want to think about it on an average day. I just want to keep tabs on it as a fan, as the guy who reviewed every Final Fantasy. Which reminds me, we gotta add it to the list. The bottom slot, number 67, was occupied by another gacha slot, War of the Visions, Final Fantasy Brave Exvius. Well, the global version of that game died just days before I released that ranking video. Now, a year later, the Japanese version is dead too, meaning there's no place left on Earth where you can play that game. So, it should be taken off the list. To be consistent with my own rules, it doesn't belong there anymore. Good thing we have a replacement. Yeah, this is a no-brainer. Dissidia Duellum Final Fantasy is the new 6-7. It's the worst playable game in the series. If that sounds extreme to you, I don't know, man. Did you listen to what I've been talking about this whole video? We can't respect games like this. We can't give them any higher of a place. I like Ever Crisis's combat, but it's still in the bottom 15. You might like the gameplay in this, but it's objectively wrong in so many ways. Checking the few games above it, Monster of the Deep Final Fantasy 15 might be a dumber game. Final Fantasy Dimensions 2 and Final Fantasy Explorers might be more boring games. Not by much, but still. I probably did have more fun some of the time playing Duellum than either of those, but I also felt utterly disgusted most of the time. Seeing gacha game design, which was already so blatantly abusive, somehow get worse when I thought that wasn't possible. That's how you earn the lowest spot on the list. At least War of the Visions, like Ever Crisis, had its own single-player separated modes. It had its own story. It had something to do, even if I hated it. But Dissidia Duellum respects the player even less than any of the gacha games I've played on the show. And that's really saying a lot. Watching the franchise stoop to new lows with Square Enix in the state that it's in, it's just depressing. One of their biggest problems is that their games don't seem to appeal to younger people anymore. 77% of US gamers who played Final Fantasy VII Rebirth were over the age of 30. Final Fantasy is unk gaming. I have to wonder, is Dissidia Duellum the type of thing they think will get kids and teens hooked on the franchise? Do they think mobile gaming is the only way to reach younger people? 'Cause kids be on their phone? Was First Soldier another attempt at this? Kids like Fortnite. A lot of them played on the phone. Let's make our own shitty Fortnite. Do they have any young people working for them to tell them that's stupid? If you want people to get interested in the brand again, why are you making the lowest form of game possible? It's like Disney saying, we gotta get people interested in Star Wars again. You know what? That Baby Yoda sells a lot of merch. Baby Yoda the movie. You can't just look at numbers. You need a human touch. A former Square Enix president once said, their biggest mistake in this modern era is letting another company make Genshin Impact. That should have been their market to take. So is that what this is? Is that why everyone's in a cute little outfit, talking about baking cookies together and playing in the park? Have you just been trying to scoop up Genshin Impact's leftovers? I don't think it's gonna work. I don't think Kane in a fedora is gonna work. You wanna know the biggest mistake I ever made? Not inventing Mario. God, why didn't I invent Mario? I should have invented Mario! Stupid! Why didn't I invent Mario? Chasing trends almost never works. And it's so frustrating to see that they still somehow haven't realized this. Need I remind you that you already have one of the most successful live service games of all time? You have one. And you got that because you guys are good at making fun video games. When you try, Final Fantasy needs to be innovative again, not trend chasing. You used to set the trends, man! Look, I enjoyed Final Fantasy 16, but it wasn't pushing any boundaries. I adored Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, but that's still cashing in on a 30-year-old nostalgia train. If you put all this money and effort into making something fresh, interesting, and inspired, don't you think that might cut through the mold? Because this certainly won't. But what do I know? I'm an unk gamer, I guess. I'm actually recording this 30 minutes before Summer Game Fest, June 5th. So they're saying Final Fantasy VII Part 3, but I want to see something else. I want to see something new, maybe something small. You know, just a little cool new thing for Final Fantasy. I want to see something new. That's what I want. Jeff, will you give it to me?
Resonates with the crystals.
Resonates with the crystals. Brave Exvius? Am I crazy? Brave Exvius?
for the first Final Fantasy game in HD 2D, Final Fantasy Resonance.
We got a spin-off! What?
This is Lapis, a vast world that is
Brave
prosperous
XP is a real game!
But after
Oh my god, I got what I wanted! I got a Final Fantasy spin-off!
his companions to
I didn't think it would happen!
Veritas,
A
launches
new
on
Final
Nintendo Switch
Fantasy,
2
bruh!
and Nintendo
It
Switch
kind of
systems.